There are hundreds of low-income neighborhoods across the country where mostly people of color reside, lacking healthy, nutritious, and high-quality foods. In low-income neighborhoods, good quality foods are barely accessible. For millions of people living in low-income communities, simply finding a fresh apple is not easy. Full-service fresh grocery stores, farmers markets, and even solo vendors that sell fresh fruits and vegetables are not within at least a 10-minute distance. Instead, these neighborhoods are filled with great abundance of convenience stores and fast food restaurants that sell cheap, high-fat, high-sugar, processed foods that offer no healthy opportunity. Nationwide, 23.5 million people lack access to a fresh supermarket within a mile of their home. Low-income areas have half as many fresh supermarkets as wealthy areas. All over the country, there are at least 418 food deserts, which are regions where residents live more than 10 miles away from a fresh supermarket. In low-income neighborhoods, convenience stores barely supply healthy foods, and when they do, they are most likely overpriced due to low stock. The problem is that healthy food is not equally accessible to all communities. Because I am a resident in a low-income neighborhood, I know this to be true. In my community, within a 2-block radius, there are 4 convenience stores. All 4 of these convenience stores consist of the same sugary, high-fattening foods, where only 2 offer a small selection of fruits, which are bananas, apples, and lemons. Chinese food stores, Crown's Fried Chicken, McDonald's, and all other fast foods occupy the food consistency in my neighborhood. The nearest farmers market is about a 10-minute walk, and the nearest fresh supermarket about a 20-minute drive. People of low-income communities fall victim to consuming unhealthy foods because it is all we are surrounded by. So where does this start? Healthy food becomes unequally accessible when dominant grocery supermarkets such as Costco's, Walmart, BJ's, and Sam's Club put local food suppliers out of business. They do so by expanding their stock, forcing a higher demand for supply. These large firms then only place locations in wealthy areas where residents of lower income communities are forced to travel far distance for healthy food or settle for the low quality foods that take over their neighborhoods. It's all about profit and monetary control. Food corporations rather supply to wealthier communities where they know profit is definite and undermine low-income communities with lower quality foods. I view this as an injustice because it's not fair. Low-income communities are simply being denied the right to healthy food. In a TED Talk by social psychologist Jonathan Haidt titled The Moral Roots of Liberals and Conservatives, he speaks on the 5 innate morals where purity and sanctity is one. He explains purity and sanctity to be about attaining virtue by controlling what you put into your body. He explains that food has become extremely moralized, and purity and sanctity relates in determining how strongly minded we are and what we consume into our bodies. But what happens when your local stores don't help you support a pure diet? Franz D. Wall, a primatologist who studies social behavior, does a TED Talk titled Moral Behaviors in Animals, where he speaks on one of the 5 innate morals of reciprocity and fairness. Franz observes reciprocity and fairness through an experiment that examines the cooperation amongst elephants when it comes to accessing food. In the first experiment, 2 elephants were released at the same time to travel the same distance to pull the same wire for food, in which they successfully worked together to do so. In the second experiment, the same 2 elephants are released at different times, where one comes out before the other. The first elephant is given the opportunity to come up with a strategy to easily access his food, while the second is still required to pull the wire for food. This second experiment signifies those of low-income communities where they are represented by the second elephant, demonstrating that they must put in extra work for healthy food. Franz also brings in this notion of empathy, which he explains it to be the ability to share and understand feelings. Franz's notion of empathy, I believe, relates to food inequality because supermarkets and health food stores have come to understand that having the availability to fresh food is important in a community. But what these supermarkets and health food stores have simply ignored is the ability to share this understanding equally amongst lower income communities and wealthy communities. When Brian Stevenson, the author of Just Mercy, says the character of our society, our commitment to the rule of law, fairness, and equality cannot be measured by how we treat the rich, the powerful, the privileged, and the respected among us, but the true measure of our character is how we treat the poor, the disfavored, the accused, the incarcerated, and the condemned, I witness this to be true. In the U.S., healthy food is not of access to low-income communities. The poor and disfavored get treated like bottom dwellers, receiving low-quality foods that end in health risks and even death. Change and progress is being made. Many communities have taken stand in food inequality, and what is being done to correct this is food justice movements and communities. Food justice focuses on exercising the right to grow, sell, and eat healthy food. Food justice incorporates a vision of social, environmental, and economic justice through improving nutrition, health, and community activism. Food justice addresses the unequal access issues of healthy food experienced by low-income communities. Within food justice communities and movements, healthy food is fresh, nutritious, affordable, and grown locally with care and well-being for the land, workers, and animals. People practicing food justice are encouraging strong local food systems while also producing self-reliant communities and a healthy environment. This injustice has personally led me to be more aware of food inequality. Lack of healthy food explains why communities like mine are in the mental, physical, and internal state we are in. Food justice is an awareness that I will continue to support. The end.